Yeah, absolutely, we can do it. So it's great to meet you. Where are you located?
Right now, I'm in Florida. I'm in Cape Coral, Florida.
Okay, I know you're pretty mobile, so I didn't know exactly
Very.
where you might be in the world. So I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm right in the middle of the map.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I spent the summer in Canada doing the Canadian Maritimes, and
Yeah,
then slowly made my way down to Florida to see the fall colors and
yeah.
hang out on the East Coast and just living life.
Okay, I love it. So I want to get into your story, but to begin with, I want to know going through this pandemic was quite a thing. How did you survive the last 3.5 years, and how did it change you?
Me specifically, or the club?
Anything, yeah, I mean, it could be a Venn
Okay.
diagram or it could be you. How did it
Okay.
affect you in your life?
For me in my life, honestly, it was great. I usually do Florida November, December, January. And then, everything started hitting hard in February, March. So I just stayed here and I'm right by my child and my grandbaby. So it was no big deal. Then come March, I got that itchy feeling that I got to go. I've been sitting too long. And I put out to my club, hey, does anybody want to quarantine this place as we work our way around? So about 9 of us met in Michigan and stayed in open land and just quarantined together and enjoyed $1.95 gas prices and did Michigan, that whole upper peninsula, Canada, Sault Ste. Marie. So, I hate to say COVID was good for me, but it worked out fine. The club took a hit in that a lot of people were happened to be parked in a parking lot for overnight and they couldn't get in somewhere because the RV park started closing down if you weren't already in. So there were a couple of people that had trouble that travel full time in their RVs.
So let me get a handle on exactly what you do for a living. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders. It's career day. And one of them looks up and says, "What do you do for a living?" How will you answer them?
I would say that I help people that live in RVs that travel a lot or all the time. I help them figure out what trips they want to go on and how to make that easy for them.
So, what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream to grow up and become?
You know what, Joe? Somebody asked me this the other day, and I even called my mom. I didn't have any dreams, honestly. And I know that sounds sad, but
Yeah.
I was raised a poor kid, one of 6 kids in a trailer. 3 of us slept in a room. And my mom, instead, too busy feeding us to talk about our dreams and hopes. It wasn't until I was like a freshman in college that someone actually, it was a lady that made us write down 10 things you want to be when you grow up. And I was like, what? I'm like, I don't know. I want to be a circus worker. I want to be a movie star. I mean, I literally wrote these ridiculous things down. One of the things I wrote was I want to be a cop. And fast forward about 6 years later, I was a cop.
Okay. All right. So let's peel back the layers a little more. Where were you born and raised? And how did this desire to travel and to be in an RV and to see the world, how did all these things become you?
I was born and raised in Houston, Texas, again, to poor family, 6 kids. And our family, when you're poor, you move a lot. You don't own a house, you move a lot. You get evicted, you get a better deal, etc. We didn't move for my dad's job. There wasn't anything like that. We were just poor and moved. And so I went to 12 schools in 12 years. So, of course, what I know is to move around. And it's funny, of the other 5 brothers and sisters, all of them have a house, bought a house, and lived in them 8 years, 10 years, 26 years, their whole life. Not me. I don't know if it affected me more or I was older to realize it. But to me, that's what started this wanderlust. I get itchy if I stay somewhere a month or two.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. So, who's been a hero for you? Who's been an inspiration in your life?
Good question. Well, one was a work mentor I had. He mentored me at work and affected my daily life to this day because of my pension, him helping me get promoted. But he also, I hate to say father figure, but he provided a strong male influence to a young girl that was in this world of all men and macho and testosterone. And he helped me navigate my way and just taught me some life lessons. So, number one, he is a role model. He's passed now, but it is to this day a role model. And I'm looking at something right now, a little piece he gave me to hang above the driver wheel to keep me safe, and I'm looking at it right now.
So if you could meet anybody alive on the planet right now and spend some time with them, who would it be?
Currently, I would say the RV geeks, one of the guys that run the show, the RV geeks, just because RV is such my life. I live it, I work it, I plan trips all the time. I would say one of those RV geeks guys on how to get to the next level. How did they do it? But I'd like to meet Barack Obama,
Yeah.
not because he was a president, which would great, but because he really did a big thing. He did a major thing in history by kind of being who he is. I'd
Yeah.
like to know what that's like to just be you, go out and you may run the country. So I've got a few like that. I'd like to meet Coco Chanel, before the Nazi stuff and all that. But I'd like to meet a housewife who decided to make some clothes, and to this day they're sought after 70 years later. I just, again, the theme is people who were themselves and made it.
I'll join you on that Obama trip. So I'm curious, what's been the most surprising place that you visited? You have wanderlust. There's a nomadic bone in your body. What's the one place you visited you didn't expect would be beautiful or magical?
That is kind of embarrassing. I have two, and I've been to every single state, Alaska and Mexico included. Number one is the Grand Canyon. I
Yeah.
know that's so basic.
Oh, I loved it.
We all been to the Grand Canyon. You walk out there, look at that rail, and you love it. Well, being in this RV group, I didn't know. Did you know that there's 13 miles of bike rides and hiking up on the concrete that you can do, but you can't drive there, so nobody ever drives there. So my RV club got in our bikes and rode 13 miles around the Grand Canyon and
Wow.
saw the Grand Canyon from totally different areas
Wow.
that the general public doesn't get to see.
Yeah,
So that's my number one. My
that's cool.
second one is the Wave in Utah. One of our club members, you had to do a lottery to go on this, and look it up if you've never seen it. It's incredible. It's like otherworldly. You have to win a lottery, and there's like 200,000 tries a year. One of the members of our RV club won, and he asked me, and five other people to go with. And it's a hard 3 mile hike in, a hard 3 mile hike out. And I was just like, oh, thanks for picking me. I didn't really know. And again, look it up and you'll see that it's incredible something like this exists on the earth, the
What's it called
formations.
again?
The wave,
Okay, the wave. All right, I'll
the
look it up
wave.
for
Yeah,
sure.
totally look it up. Yep.
Yeah. So for somebody that has this wanderlust about life, what's your motivation every day? What gets you out of bed? What gets you moving? What gets you to be you every day?
Well, remember, I have a normal life like everyone else. My house is a tiny house, if you will. I happen to be parked different places every day, but I love this life. It suits me. It fits me. After 3 RVs, I found the perfect RV for me. So I have a really good life. I take care of my health. I make sure that I'm healthy. That's the thing. I exercise 5 days out of 7. Okay, sometimes 4, but 5 days out of 7. And I have a good attitude, and I've always had a good attitude. I'm not one to discuss all my dreams with other people because I've learned over the years that not everybody wants you to have your dream. So that's kind of helped me a lot. And then to be motivated to run this club is because I love this lifestyle. And I know if I can just talk to somebody about this lifestyle, I can talk them into it. And it's, if they're on the edge, and I'm not saying change their life, but if they're on the edge, I know that I can talk to them and tell them what a great life this is.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: as someone that's obviously got a lot of curiosity and wants to see the world, if you could get into a time machine and go back in time and witness any event in human history with your own eyes, what would you love to have seen happen?
Oh my God, you got me. Okay. And I knew this was coming too. I would say I like the 1964 time. I'd like to see the 60s,
Yeah.
but the 1964 Civil Rights Act, such a big turning point in our life, and it affected my life directly. A lot of other people, but directly, because that's when a shift change and laws change so that girls could become cops. Otherwise, I still wouldn't be able to be a cop because I'm too short and can't lug 200 pounds because they had all these impossible restrictions. And one of the laws in the Civil Rights Act was, you had to allow women to make accommodations equal for everyone. So I like that whole equal rights thing. I'd like to have been part of that. I think I would have been a part of it, but I'd like to have been around to see all that happen.
So as a cop, what was one of the strangest calls you were on? What was one of the
Oh,
strangest things you ever witnessed?
there's a thousand of them, but the one I always tell because no one got injured. We got a call at a Kmart, and the alarm was going off. So we get there, me and another guy. We get there, we open the door, we try the front door to Kmart, and it's open. I mean, this is like middle of the night. So we sneak around Kmart. It's all dark. Stores look a lot different, dark. I mean,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
they're scary with all that stuff in there. So we sneak to the back, and they have double doors, and they have the windows cut out, and we see a person with a ski mask on walking back and forth. And we're like, oh my gosh, there's a guy in here robbing the Kmart. Oh my gosh. I remember specifically standing behind a row of skillets. There was a bunch of skillets because me and the other guy, we like looked at each other like, oh my God, we're in the middle of a robbery here. And I was still kind of new. And so I got a position with my gun out, pointed at him, and the other cop came around to the side and pushed the door open. It's like, come on, put your hands up. And the poor guy comes out with his hands up. He's a stalker, STOCK. He stalks at night
Yeah.
and it's freezing back there. So he had a coat and gloves and a ski mask on. that I was so my adrenaline was so high, and the poor guy doing his work, freezing, doing his work, comes out to these cops with the hands in the air, pointing guns at him. That was pretty memorable in my life. I had a dog bite me one time. I've caught lots of people naked, in the act of naked.
Yeah.
It was a great life, let me tell you. I have more stories than we have days for, I promise you.
So my day job is as an IT technician for a large school district in Kansas City.
Mm,
And we are right across the street from City Hall and the police station. So they will use our building during off days to do tactical
yep,
drills, like when they're all dressed up with
yep.
all of the Kevlar and all of the weapons. Well, no one told me one day, and I just kind of walk across to go to the bathroom and I open the door. There's 30 dudes in full gear, and I'm like, oh my God, I just need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they looked, they were going to pounce.
Yeah, we did that a lot in the county I was in. Number one, it makes the cops familiar with the school, God
Yes.
forbid.
Yep.
But and it just keeps them training. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty common actually.
Yeah, they waved it off, but my heart rate did not go down for at least an hour.
Yeah, yeah.
So, of all of the things that you've done in your life, you've obviously lived a very full life. What are you the proudest of?
I'm proudest of my kid, and I know everybody says that,
Yeah.
but I repeated the same cycle as my mom. I had a baby at 17, almost 18 years. Almost, I was 1 month from being 18 years old. I had a baby, and through hell and high water, I managed to raise her, get her up. She's a good person. She went to college. She has a daughter who's going to college, so I was able to break that cycle. And my daughter has far exceeded anything that I've done. And that right there is my greatest, proudest, best accomplishment. I broke that cycle of poverty and young motherhood.
What's the best advice you've ever gotten?
To be quiet. And at the time, I hated it. My mentor, I'll go back to him, he would tell me kindly, but in ways like, not everybody works like you. You need to be quiet. Not everybody wants to hear every story. I'm like, they don't, but they're great stories. No, they don't. And so when people call me and ask me about RVing or joining my club or selling everything they own and hitting the road like I did, I always tell them the first thing, be quiet. Quit telling everybody about your what you want to do, because you dream about it and then you doubt it, and that's when you start wanting reassurance and talking to other people, and then that you'll either get to the next step of doing it or you won't, and then
Yeah.
you'll look back and realize, I wish I'd have done this, and if I hadn't have done this RV life, I would have regretted it. So
Yeah.
my best advice is be quiet.
I think I've learned that as I've gotten older. It's a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
thing.
right, don't we all, hopefully? Yeah.
Yeah, right. The wisdom. So, everyone out there has a perception of you, family, friends, everyone that you know in your club, but you ultimately run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I'm an alpha male, ball busting, aggressive, assertive female. I'm also very nice and I'll help anybody, but I am not a pushover. I am not run over. If something was to happen in public, I believe and hope and know that I would be the first person to get in there and try to do something, fix something, save something. So it used to be bad, and I was counseled many times in my law enforcement career. You're so aggressive. Don't be so. I'm glad I never listened to that. I think my friends would say I'm a lifelong friend, a trusted friend. If you tell me something, it'll go to the grave. But I stand by my aggressive, asserting, ball busting alpha female, and I'm proud of that, and I wear it well. I drive 60 feet of automobile going down the road.
Yeah.
I, you gotta have a little something to you for that.
Yeah. You know, the one thing that I remember early on in my life was the romantic notion of traveling in an RV through Travels with Charlie with Steinbeck. And I'm curious what story, what book you've read that that's always resonated with you in living in an RV and traveling as much as you do.
I don't know. I don't really have one. I started RVing by the seat of my pants. I
Yeah.
literally bought a 36-foot RV, took a left out of the dealership, and drove off to the wild blue yonder. I didn't even know how to turn on the hot water. Okay, I lived without hot water for the first week, boiling water in a water jug, and showering like that.
Yeah.
So I I, I don't know if I've had any books. I did a lot of YouTube. I did things like that to see. And YouTube and RV shows are great sources, but they don't, thankfully they're not. RV shows are a lot about the romanticism and the fun of RVing. YouTube tells you the hard part. RVing is 90% awesome and 10% flat out hell. Having a flat tire on the middle of I-95 and traffic whizzing by, and there's no tire in the state. There's no tire in the state that fits your RV. Been there, done that. Or going 8 miles down a dirt road and there is nowhere to turn around and you have no GPS and the road just doesn't seem to end. So it's 90% romantic and awesome and 10% sheer hell.
So, if anyone out there wants to reach out to you, find out about your club, your life, anything about your world, what do they do? How do they do it?
The easiest way is to email me, winsrvclub@gmail. Wins, WINS, rvclub@gmail.
Excellent. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your time. Thank you for opening up. Have a great holiday.
Thank you. You as well.